My name is Mike Angiano, and in October of 2019, I had a near-death experience. That changed a lot of how I look at things and really how I see my place here. The day of my cardiac arrest, the day started out just like any other day. I was coming home from work, and we had a night full of activities with our boys, as we usually do. On my way home, I stopped off to watch one of my sons in a percussion concert, just catch a few minutes before I went to pick up our other son to take him to his baseball game. I was a coach for his team, so I picked him up and we made our way to the field. It was like a normal day, so I really don't remember much of the day, but I have a very vivid recollection of the moments before my cardiac arrest. I remember being on the field. I remember not feeling well, but not really knowing why. I started to feel dizzy, and the field, as bright as it was getting dark for me, and I knew that something was going on. I started to make my way over to the other team's dugout because that was the closest one to me. As I made my way over there, I tried to say what was going on, but I couldn't get any words out. I remember those coaches looking at me and saying, "Are you okay? Do you need water? Have a seat?" And I just remember nodding and then turning to take a seat. As I started to sit down, my body just started to go limp. My legs gave out. I hit the seat and then hit the ground. The next thing I remember is looking and seeing my friend walk over from the third base side, and that's when everything went dark. My heart stopped, and it was a sudden cardiac arrest. We still don't know why it happened, but we know that there was something going on, and my heart was just not functioning properly. Fortunately for me, there were people who knew exactly what to do in that instant that I hit the ground. Within the minute of me hitting the ground, there were 3 people who came and started to perform CPR to keep blood flowing through my body. They tried to use an AED on me, but it didn't work. It did not bring my heart back into a rhythm. So they continued with their CPR for the next 15 minutes until the paramedics arrived and took over. When the paramedics arrived, they were able to revive me to get my heart going again. But on the way to the hospital, my heart stopped again. So they revived me again and took me to the hospital. My son was on the field the entire time. I can only imagine the chaotic scene that everybody really experienced. I remember hearing stories about people who were on other fields saying that their game stopped. Their players took a knee because of all of the things that were going on. The people at the field wanted to make sure that nothing got in the way of paramedics coming to me and doing what they needed to do to get me to the hospital. My wife wasn't there. She was with my son at the percussion concert, so she got the call that something was wrong and that she needed to go to the hospital. But my son was there the entire time. At the hospital, they put me into a therapeutic hypothermia. So essentially it's a coma where they put your body to sleep and cool you down to help the body repair itself and to limit any of the potential brain damage that could occur. With lack of oxygen flowing, being in that hypothermic state helps increase the healing process. So for about 2 days I was in that coma. The doctors really couldn't say what was going to happen. when I would wake up or if I would wake up, but they knew that this was the right protocol to follow. I remember waking up and seeing at the foot of my bed my family from Michigan. So part of going into this therapeutic hypothermia is they give you a sedative. So that one of the effects of a sedative is it causes amnesia. So you forget things that have occurred. So when I woke up, I had the confusion of having my family from Michigan at the foot of my bed. So me trying to piece that together. So that was, I remember being very confused. I wasn't able to talk because I was intubated, so I couldn't get any words out. I remember looking over and seeing my wife next to me and finding comfort in that, but also going to her to ask what happened. And I was able to communicate what happened by drawing on her hand what happened. I must have asked that question probably 100 times the next hour because of the amnesia of I'm still not being able to piece things together. Mm-hmm. And she patiently answered every single question every time I asked with, you got a cardiac arrest, you're in the hospital, everything's okay. It took a while for things to really start to come together and to make sense for me, but those couple of days after waking up and finally starting to get things starting to come together, we started to see visitors. People came to visit, and I remember a lot of people coming in and visiting. I remember people, but not their faces. I remember hearing, but not exactly putting the words and the people together. I remember the pastors coming. I remember a lot of praying, but I remember just the main thing was that people were there, they were surrounding me, and there was comfort in that, knowing that there were others around. We later learned, from the moment that I went down, people began to pray for healing, for survival, for comfort, for everything. And getting through that immediate event, I feel had a lot to do with the prayers that people gave for me, for us, for my family. My wife will go around, my wife will often say that during that entire time, she didn't feel confused or alone. At a time when there was not a certainty that when I would come back or what state I would be in. But she never had that sense of question. She always had a sense of peace of knowing things were going to be okay. And we have a lot, I think, we owe a lot of that to prayers of people, to call for God to intervene, to be with us, and to be with us in that moment and every moment after.
So how does it make you feel to know that statistically you are a kind of a miracle, because statistically most people do not make it through the kind of event you had? How does that make you feel?
I'm completely and totally blessed in understanding what it means to say that and to feel that it's a blessing to be alive, to be here, to be doing the things that I'm doing. I read a study that had 93% of the people who have a out of hospital, who have a cardiac arrest, don't survive. And of the 7% that actually do, the majority of those people deal with brain injury, trauma, deal with brain damage. It's only 1 out of 100, just the 1% of people that go through an event like that and are able to not only survive but continue their lives as they did from before. And I've been able to do that and then some. right after being able to recover, I went back and started to work full time. Same role, same position, as if nothing happened, just took an extended break. About a year after coming back to work, I finished my dissertation. And I still stay engaged in a lot of the other activities and volunteer things that I've always been able to do. Physically, I feel great. Mentally and emotionally, I feel great. I feel almost awakened just that I'm able to still do these things. Sometimes it escapes me that things could have been different. But that's when I kind of try to put things back in the sharp focus of there's a reason that you're here. And many times that reason is that person that's right across you, or that group that you're with, is make your presence known. Be a part of an activity, just be a part of your family, be a part of anything that you're a part of, be actively engaged in that.
How do you think that your life is different now?
In many ways, I don't think my life is necessarily different. I'm doing the same things that I've always been able to do. And so in that sense, my life has not changed. But I think I look at things differently. I have a different concept of timing. Timing being where before I may have been really focused on an outcome of a promotion, of something else that our family might want or need to do, that we felt this was something that we had to do, things that I've intended or to do with friends. The timing part of it, that things will happen when they're meant to happen, and not to rush into trying to make things happen ahead of when they're meant to happen. A promotion will come when you're ready. And so I think I've changed in that sense of feeling like I was in control of what is to happen, but more now trusting that God's plan will put me where I'm supposed to be, exactly when I'm supposed to be there, and to be content with that. To not feel like I have lost on something, but that someone else has gained because I'm still here. I'm still doing the same role, which means I get to speak with you. And how can I bless that relationship? How can I improve your outlook? How can I bring something into your life that makes it better? So the timing aspect of when I thought things needed to happen, I think I've let go of that.
Mm-hmm.
I now focus on, I feel like I focus more on relationships with people, relationships with my wife, with my kids, my boys. At times I have to pull back and say, it's not his time, or it's not your time. It's not for you to make things happen, but just be there when it happens. Because that's really the blessing that I have, is we're still here. We're here for this, not to create or to make, but to be with others. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that part of my perspective has changed. It's allowed me to come in, I think, to situations with less stress of being expected to manufacture an outcome as much as just do what you know to do, and the outcome will be what it's supposed to be. I think it's the other thing that I really see is God's presence everywhere all the time. We don't always understand why we're in a present circumstance or the situation that we're in, but knowing that God is everywhere all the time, looking into a situation or circumstance and see where's God in this. How is God showing himself in this situation? Is it through me? Is it through somebody else? Is it through somewhere else, but God is always with us. God is always present. God is always active. And trying to train myself to find where that is, and not be disappointed with an outcome or situation, but knowing that you're here for a reason and looking to find God in it. And for me now, like, I'll find that I'm going back to the way I was, just expecting to change things. But I think I can get myself back on track quicker, is I'll realize that's just not for you.
You're not in control.
You're not in control. It's like you can offer your advice, give your counsel, your support. What someone does with that, it's up to them. But you've got to take your active role because you're here. You're sitting across that person for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They need to hear something. They need to hear you. They need to be heard. And just listen.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the presence that I tend to feel more often now, is being present, being here, because the situation can be very different where I'm not here.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this situation better.
Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you do.
My life now is different in that there's more of it. There's more life. There's more time. Because that very well could have been a different situation. I've got more of an opportunity to get things right that I didn't get right the first time. To spend more time with people than maybe I didn't before. This is for me, this is the bonus round. This is that extra time that you get on life. You look at it as this is God's victory lap, as He's celebrating His life through me, and the stories that I can bring, the presence that I can bring, the words that God will work through me for His glory, and I love that, and I'm here for that. I think being part of everything that happens is part of our plans, part of God's plans, God's will, that people ran to my aid. That wasn't them in there. I believe that was God in them, having them want to preserve life. They didn't want to see their friend go, so they were doing everything they could to be there. So in that sense, I want to do everything I can for others also. Time is the one thing we don't, it's finite, it ends. So that time that we get back to extend, that helping hand, those encouraging words, I think those are, anytime that we're able to do that is time well spent. God's got a plan for every one of us. He has a purpose for us to be in His kingdom, to grow that kingdom. And He has a role for me, and I think He has a role for everybody. And so I think that's, when we live like that, knowing that we have a role, then I think we live better.